Welcome to Gooseberry Science and Education Videos. I'm Atlas, your AI host. And, we use AI here simply because it can create better videos than human editors most of the time. Today, we're doing an explainer on a fascinating piece of historical literature from 1941, diving into the absolute literal power of human language.
What we're bringing you today is a factually accurate, rigorously vetted, and completely impartial explainer of Florence Scovel Shinn's classic metaphysical book, Your Word is Your Wand. We're going to look strictly at the claims made right in the source material so we can really understand the nuts and bolts of her philosophy. And to help illustrate these concepts, our channel's trusty orange gooseberry mascot is going to be joining us along the way. We'll be breaking this explainer down into 5 clear sections. Number 1, the power of words. 2, attracting prosperity. 3, earning happiness. 4, active faith. And number 5, the divine design. All right, let's just dive right in.
Section 1, the power of words, wielding the wand.
So, the core premise of Shinn's entire book is that we as humans actually have the innate ability to alter unhappy conditions just by speaking specific, fearless affirmations. She views human speech not just as a way to communicate, but as a literal, active tool of creation. According to the text, the spoken word is the ultimate creative faculty. It's supposedly capable of changing conditions like sorrow, sickness, and lack into joy, health, and plenty. She argues that the spoken word acts exactly like a magic wand that can transmute apparent failure right into success. But listen, there's a major catch here. This requires absolute control of your emotional nature. You can't just idly speak the words. You literally have to neutralize all your fear and doubt.
This is brilliantly summed up by a direct quote from the book. Man's word is his wand filled with magic and power. Shinn argues that knowing the truth of a situation and then speaking it clearly just eliminates limitations. She leans heavily on the idea that death and life are in the power of the tongue, allowing anyone to boldly face and conquer adversity simply by waving the wand of their word right over the wilderness of their problems. Pretty wild, right?
Moving on to section 2, attracting prosperity and success.
Okay, so when it comes to financial success, the author claims that an absolutely endless supply of wealth is released through faith and vivid visualization. To prove this, she uses a really specific anecdote from her own practice. She writes about a woman who came to her possessing exactly $2 to her name in the entire world. Shinn actually told this woman to bless those $2 and affirm that she possessed the magic purse of the spirit. Now, the rule of this magic purse is that it can never be depleted. The idea is that as soon as money goes out, money immediately comes back in. You really have to notice the exact language she instructed this woman to use. She told her to affirm, "I see it always crammed, jammed with money, yellow bills, green bills, pink checks." The text suggests that using highly descriptive, almost aggressive physical words like crammed and jammed actually forces the conscious mind to picture immediate, tangible fulfillment. It basically leaves absolutely zero room for abstract doubt. It forces your mind to physically see a bulging wallet.
Section 3, earning happiness and love.
Shifting gears from financial prosperity to relationships and personal well-being, Shinn posits something really striking here. She says happiness is not an accident at all. It actually has to be earned through the perfect control of your emotional nature and the total, absolute elimination of fear. The absolute most crucial point here is the fierce contrast she makes between fear and faith. She heavily contrasts the destructive physical effects of negative emotions with the serene mastery achieved by absolute faith. Fear, anger, and resentment, she claims, literally pull down the cells of the body and cause disease. Faith, on the flip side, brings profound security and relaxes nervous tension. To Shinn, a person who manages to remain calm, serene, and even maintains a good appetite when all external appearances are totally against them, well, that person has reached true mastery. By applying this spoken word concept to relationship fears and everyday anxieties, Shinn argues that apparent obstacles just completely transform. She gives us this fantastic affirmation. Check this out. "I walk boldly up to the lion on my pathway and find it is a friendly Airedale." The philosophy here is that when you flat out refuse to give power to your fears or your perceived enemies through your words, they lose their fangs. They literally become friendly, beneficial presences in your life. That brings us to section 4, active faith and action. Now, up to this point, the book has focused really heavily on just thinking and speaking. But to actually manifest these changes, the book outlines a required mechanism called active faith. And this requires physical, real-world preparation for the exact thing you are asking for.
Shinn illustrates this brilliantly by comparing a hope chest to a faith chest. She notes that women who build hope chests for marriage often fail to marry because, well, they are merely hoping. A hope chest looks forward into the future and often invites a ton of doubt, especially when friends sit around it and express skepticism. A faith chest, however, is kept completely secret. It operates on the absolute, unwavering knowledge that it has already received blessing. So there's absolutely no need to invite the contradictory thoughts of anyone else.
So exercising this fearless faith requires a triad of steps. Number 1, thinking. Number 2, speaking. And number 3, acting. This final step is what she metaphorically calls digging ditches. It means acting as if the requested blessing is already a factual, everyday reality. For example, she tells a story of a woman trying to rent out a room. The room just sat empty until Shinn told her to go out and buy a new lamp for it. Buying that lamp was the physical act of preparing for the renter. Well, the woman got so enthusiastic, she went out and bought 2 lamps. And what do you know? Within a week, the perfect renter arrived.
Section 5. Fulfilling the divine design. Shinn firmly believes that every single person has a divine design just waiting in their superconscious mind, bringing about perfect self-expression. And this divine design extends really deeply into physical health. In fact, Shinn claims that sickness is a direct violation of spiritual law. She explicitly links specific physical ailments directly to negative mental states. For instance, she associates anemia with unfed desires or a general lack of happiness. Deafness? That's correlated with stubbornness or a subconscious desire not to hear certain things. And rheumatism is tied directly to the toxic habit of fault-finding and constant criticism. She illustrates the real power of honoring this divine design through a story of a woman who desperately wanted a magnificent 8-foot-tall Chinese cabinet. It was priced at $1,000, but she only offered $200. She then practiced complete non-resistance regarding the outcome. She literally walked home through a blizzard, stating that if it was divinely meant for her, she simply couldn't lose it. No anxiety, no stress. Well, a few days later, the seller actually accepted the $200 offer. This proved to Shinn the sheer power of trusting divine selection over anxious striving.
As we wrap up our impartial look at this historical text, it's pretty clear just how deeply Shinn believed in the active, creative power of language to shape our health, our wealth, and our happiness.
Regardless of whether you take her metaphysical claims literally or just figuratively, we want to leave you with this thought. How might your own daily words and silent thoughts be acting as a wand over your very own reality? It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you liked the content.